Advertising, branding, publicity, product design, and creation are not just tools for marketing. They are tools for creating a story that people can associate with your brand. Storytelling strategies for selling. That is the title of our class today. I want to teach you how to sell with corporate storytelling. My name is Bolanle Oyindamola Olotunde Jenrola, and like I always tell you, you can quote me on corporate storytelling. Before I go into explaining how to sell with stories, I feel like it's very important to explain the different kind of storytelling approaches that are used in communications. For example, public relations, advertising, media relations, and all of those tenets, sales, marketing, are all grouped as elements of advertising, as elements of communication. However, they're not the same thing. They're different. And in understanding how different they are, we then fully know what we need to be doing and how to use them for marketing. So I'll explain to you what marketing is using a very popular example that I have Nigerianized so that you can relate with it. If 7UP Bottling Company rebranded their bottled water Aquafina and they made videos and posters about it, that is advertising. If they erected posters on billboards and the videos were aired on TV stations, that is promotion. If they partnered with Access Bank Lagos City Marathon and Bella Naija wrote about this partnership, that is publicity. If they got the first prize winner of the marathon to take selfies with the rebranded bottled water and they shared it on social media while talking about how beneficial drinking clean and adequate water is to the performance of his race and how easy it was to carry the bottle around, that is public relations. If 7UP Bottling Company then emphasizes the health benefits of drinking water, promotes the portability and convenience of the bottle, and get customers to buy, that is sales. If they organize all of this together, that is marketing. So that was just a crash course on what marketing is. And I feel like all of the elements that we put together is the strategy to actually selling any product that you create. Now let's get to storytelling for selling. If people do not care about the story of your brand, they will not become your customers. So they may buy from you one-off. For example, if I like Ariel as the detergent for washing my clothes, and there's another detergent called Soso. If I go to the supermarket and I don't find Ariel, I probably will buy Soso because I don't want to go back to the supermarket. That does not make me a customer of Soso. That just makes me someone who bought Soso once. Do you get it? So what actually makes it possible for businesses to constantly sell is the story that their brand is associated with. People never buy the product. They buy the stories that are attached to it. Not just the story you're trying to get them to believe, but what culture influences them to believe about that product and what your audience is telling themselves. So it is your duty to attach a story very quickly before society gives your product a story. You create the most amazing story when you respect your customers enough to create what they want. The problem is many brands and businesses create what they feel like creating, what makes them feel good, as opposed to doing the research to fill a real gap in society. Yet an authentic story to connect with will come from love. And I say love because if you're not fulfilling a need that your customers have, what is the point? So in trying to build a very deep story that your audience must connect with, you have to have them in mind when creating the product. As a business, don't just create a product to fill among because your competitors have created that product. Don't create a new line. It happens all the time. Now, some of you may be wondering, how do I create the story that my audience will relate to it? Number one is know your target audience. It's very important that your product has an audience. You're not just creating a product for everybody. I mean, there's some products that almost everybody will use, but in a lot of cases, in fact, I don't think there's any product in the world that everybody would be able to relate to. So it's very important that you are clear on your target audience so that you speak the language of your target audience. And once you speak their language, they understand you better. Your packaging would also fit your target audience. In your packaging, you are telling a story about your product. In the choice of your package. So for example, there are lots of big products, like big products that used to be packaged in big containers and sachets that are now in smaller sachets. You know that you are telling your audience something. You are telling a story with the way you have created different sachet sizes to say that regardless of what your pocket is, we are for you. So it's not only for those that can afford the big ones. Do you get what I mean? It's how even in the choice of the little things, you have told a story. And there will be some brands that will say, we'll never have that small one. It has to only be the big one. And only those that can buy it are our audience. You should also appeal to the taste of a place. Where is the location? I heard, I don't know because I've not tested it, that the Coca-Cola in Nigeria tastes sweeter than the one sold in London. People have said it. I have not tested this theory, so I do not know. But if that's the case, that then says, in fact, some people say that the one they sell in the north is sweeter than the one they sell in southern Nigeria. All of these things may be mindsets that the audience have associated based on, but it just still speaks to the fact that people expect that in creating your product, you are mindful of the taste of the people that live in that environment. As a corporate communication professional or a CEO, you get to create the narrative about why your company is doing what you are doing. But sure, you see that story, the story that people associate with your brand, that becomes your reputation. It is the association that people will have about your brand, meaning that you may be the one to craft the narrative, but what becomes the story will be created by your audience. Your brand story is your reputation, and so it's important to be deliberate about this. Unfortunately, you can't just write a story and make people believe it about your brand. Instead, that story that people associate with your brand is derived from the fulfillment of your brand promise. It is the sum of all the impressions and gut feelings that ends up in the hearts of people, not just your customers, but every person who has heard about your brand. So building a powerful product or service that has its processes and patterns intact is the number one way to win at brand storytelling. Consistency is very important in corporate storytelling because your story cannot just be changing. It has to be constant. What people say about you today needs to be consistent, and you are the one that creates that consistency. So your taste must never change. If you are a food company, your taste must not change. If people go to your ATMs, if you're a bank, and you want them to believe that you are reliable, they should always find money in it. Your price points must not change. So yes, your price may change from 500 naira to 600 naira, 1,000 naira to 2,000 naira. However, if you're saying we are affordable, then within the boundaries of what the economy allows, you must continue to be affordable. If you say you are expensive, then continue to be expensive so that people then know that we can only get products from you from 1 million. That's also a strategy. That is part of your story. And, it says something to some of your audience to say quality, authenticity. The other one that is cheap, or let me just say affordable, So that is your story. Your location where we can find you must be consistent. So we know that if I enter the best mall in any country, your brand will always be there. We find your brand in malls. Don't now change it by suddenly now putting your brand in Balogun Market. And that's not an insult to Balogun Market. By the way, there are some brands that if you take them out of Balogun Market, the billions they are making per year, they will not make it in a mall. So just know what fits your brand story. Your delivery, you say your delivery is within 10 minutes. Better not let it be 30 minutes because you have changed your story. If your delivery will be 1 hour, let it also be known that it's 1 hour. Do you get what I mean? It's consistency. Whatever the consistency is going to be, you determine it, but be consistent. The product creator and the product advertisers, the marketers of a product, they have to work in synergy to ensure that corporate storytelling is achieved, because the product cannot be telling a different story while your advertising message is telling another story. And that is why a lot of people sack agencies that work with them and say the agency is not delivering. We gave you money to create communication campaign for us, yet our product is not selling. Well, your product cannot sell because your product is a lie. Your advertising message is consistent. It is true. You're saying that we're the best in town. We're number one. We can do this. Our product can achieve that. But the product does not have the ability that the communication material is saying. You are then now creating a negative story. So it is okay if your product continues to progress. And as your product progresses, you announce the progressions. But what you should not do is to advertise a product that is subpar as something that is already above. That way you are killing your brand story, because consistency cannot be achieved. Advertising, branding, publicity, product design, and creation are not just tools for marketing. They are tools for creating a story that people can associate with your brand. And that is why when you see Coca-Cola adverts, they're fun. They're about celebration. They're about family, friendships, and happiness. So the Coca-Cola is not just selling a sweet drink, they're selling happiness. As part of corporate storytelling, you must associate things with your brand, no matter the level to which you are. So meaning that even down to your social media, the things that you are allowed to talk about, the causes that you are allowed to be a part of must align with your brand so that you're not confusing your audience. Access Bank will tell you speed, service, security. And then every February, you see them sponsor the Lagos City Marathon. GT, fashion and food. They have a festival to celebrate fashion and food every year. And you associate them with beauty, cleanness. Do you get it? Sterling Bank, for example, is very witty. And you can see that with the way they posture on social media. Their captions are so funny. Their copies are, they are like the Gen Z of banking because of how they posture on social media. And this was not how we've always seen Sterling Bank. But all of a sudden, because of the way their social media tone is, we see them as a friendly bank. So all of these things are just very fundamental in building a consistent story. Let the things that we associate you with be the things that are part of your brand value. So building a tangible story for your corporate organization is about creating consistent associations that people can rely on, so that you are who you say you are and it never changes. It's not about selling a big story that you cannot maintain. So a lot of people sell a big story in advertising, but that's just lying to your customers and they will hate you for it. And that's what causes things like being called out, complaints, and all of that. Take us on a journey. Story is a journey. Every film, novel, or whatever it is that we associate story with actually has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then it ends well. I like stories that end well. So it's okay if you are not yet at 100%. Gradually take us on a journey. On the promise and over deliver. It's not a bad thing to do with corporate storytelling. But I find that what happens in a lot of cases is that deceptive and exaggerated stories then lead to ruining your reputation, and then the story circulating about your business is really bad, and that's not what we want. So for selling with stories, what you must first do is to build a brand narrative that allows people to create their own stories and share it with the world about your offering. Not because it's a grandiose brand, but because it's a true brand. True to its identity, true to its reputation, and true to all it says that it would be. Thank you for being a part of this class. I hope that you gain insightful knowledge on how to build your corporate organization. If you need brand strategy, story strategies to build your corporate communication campaign, Bond Storytelling Agency is your sure plug, and we will be happy to come on board to help you build your corporate communication strategy for the year, for the quarter, for the half year, and for your 5-year, 10-year plan. So reach out to us. Let us build with you. If you enjoyed this training, it's a good day to subscribe to this channel so that the next time we drop another class, you'll be one of the first people to see it. I can't wait to see you next time.